All right, so what we're going to do here is we are going to make this pattern. I can't remember the name I use of it. I think I've known it as the honeycomb pattern, but I'm not sure that's what it's actually called in other things. So we are going to, there we go. Just get you set up perfectly. So I am using 3 3/4 millimeter knitting needles. And then I'm going to switch to 3.3, a 3 millimeter needle. And the yarn we're going to use is this Bernat Bundle Up. This color is Nighttime. I do not know the label. I did not get a label for this one, or I've had it so many years I don't have a label. I can't remember. This one I did get at $7.99 at Len's Mills. I do believe you can get it at Michael's, but I'm not 100% sure on that. I haven't been to Michael's in a little bit, so I'm not 100% sure. This is a 4 medium. It recommends a 5 millimeter needle and a 5.5 millimeter hook. Now, I'm using the smaller, obviously. I really do enjoy this yarn. This yarn is a very wonderful yarn. It has a beautiful softness to it and squishiness. It is a worked up yarn, meaning you can see that this is not just threads wrapped together. It is almost a crocheted loop tube. So there is work to this yarn. Now I am going to make a slip knot, and how I do that is I wrap it around my 2 fingers and pinch with my thumb, pull it off the fingers, push the loop through, and pull tight. I am going to be using a 3.5 millimeter hook to cast on. There is a reason I do that. Casting on, I'm sure my return viewers will get tired of this, but it is a nice way to cast on to give yourself a really good elastic base. Bottom row gives you a good seam hem, if that's what you prefer. It gives you really good elasticity so that you can stretch it really good. I'm not sure this one is cast off, so see how I'm only getting a little bit, whereas I can get really good with that one. I do cast off with the needles. I do prefer to do that when it's a ribbing because it does look better at the end. It has a much more symmetrical look. So how we're going to cast on, and I've been obviously doing it as I've been talking. If you don't know, you put the loop on the hook, you wrap around the needle, grab that yarn, and you pull through, and you repeat. It is a very simple, easy way to cast on. And honestly, when it comes to casting on, I have tried the 2 needle approach. I have tried the use the larger needle approach. I have tried multiple different ways, multiple different cast-ons, and honestly, at the end of the day, this is the one that just flows the seamlessly. So we're going to cast on 40 stitches, and I'm going to keep going, and I will come back when I have my 39 because I'll show you what to do with 40. So here's my 39 stitches, and 40 just goes off the needle or off the hook onto the needle and tighten up. Now, another reason I do like to do this is because I have always loved the idea of adding knit and crochet together. I don't find a lot of people do it. I find I love projects with ribbing. It is what you get on most of your clothes. It's what, you know, it is the perfect cinching of a project. So I prefer it. When it comes to this, I like to do both, so you have a little bit of something in there. I do have a project I will be coming up that I crocheted this bit in here, and I knit the top and the bottom. I do find not a lot of people try to combine them. I think to get rid of the stigma of whichever one's best, if you can get people to do both, then nobody really cares. But I'm going to start with a knit 1, purl 1 ribbing row, and we're going to do that for, I'm pretty sure that's 1.5 inches. Yep, 1.5 inches. So you're going to knit 1, purl 1, and how you do that, if you are new, you put the needle in the back of the loop, you wrap around the loop, and you pull that yarn to the front. Then you're going to pull your yarn to the front, bring it around the front of the needle, put the needle back into the front of the loop, going backwards, and that is a purl. You're going to put the yarn in the back. Now you're going to go from the front to the back of the loop, and then this one you're going to go from the back to the front, and that is how you purl. I'm trying to explain this in better ways each time I do it, so it's a little bit more explanation. I do hope you can understand it. So knitting, and the first one I do usually knit into the back of the loop. That is what it's mean when you do that. But I think for explanation, having the needle go from back to front to back is a great way for people to understand ribbing. So I will come back when I have 1.5 inches and I will show you the next steps. So I just got that done. So we are not going to change the needle size. We are going to leave it the same. We will trim the working yarn and we're going to change colors. Now I did this mainly because I do like to be able to see that the borders, so when you're wearing the duster, it will actually be a little more visible to your hands, to see where your hands are with having a different color. And it also, if you decide to wear it with something else, it's fine. So this one will be a knit row. So you're going to wrap the yarn around the needle, and you're just going to knit straight. Oop. Now that happens when you start a new row with changing colors and stuff like that. So you just kind of balance it around. I hold it a lot of times with my thumb and my forefinger. That can go in the back because that's probably going to be the back row. Actually, I'm not sure if this is the back or the front on this one. So we're just going to keep going for this row. So this is a 4-row repeat. I'll show you all 4 rows, all on. So your first, your third, all uneven rows will be knit, straight knit. And then your next row is a knit, but it is a knit in a slightly different way if you haven't seen the duster pattern. I will link it in the description box below, and I will have it end carded at the end so you can see the duster if you'd like for this one. They are both the same patterns. Like I said, I really wanted to have a pair of fingerless gloves that go with it, so when I want to wear it out, I can shove these in the pockets and I can keep my hands nice and warm. Another thing I didn't actually show, which I should now, is this is a 100% polyester yarn, which is why it's so nice and warm. That is one of the properties of polyester yarn is heat. It's really good for heat retention. I will eventually get around to a couple of patterns I have that use heat. Like I have my own magic bags and I have my own water bottle cover that I'd like to do. So this one is, now you're on your second row. This is the important row. Oh, I'm going to knit this one as well. Yeah, I'm going to knit this one because I'm pretty sure this is the good row. So I'm going to knit a second row, and only because you really don't want that like that. So I am going to knit it a second time because I want this to be the front. So I'm just going to knit as if this were the first row. And this is just to keep color continuity going. Here, I'll try and make that quieter. If you can hear the needles banging off the table. So you're just going to knit this row as well. And then on the next row is where the pattern's going to start. So you're not going to knit 2 rows for the pattern. You're only going to knit 1. I'm doing this because I need, as you can see, there's a line here. And I don't want to see that on the front row, on the right side of the work, as we call it. So I'm trying to put it on the wrong side, as it's said. So I'm just going to knit this row. This is just an extra so that I have the right side facing out where I want it. You will have to make sure of that at the end too, that you want to make sure that you knit an extra row at the end, just so that way you don't have this at the end as well. All right, so now that we are actually starting the pattern this time. So now what we're going to do is your first one is knit. And then what you're going to do is, do you see there's a bar here? You normally knit in here. You're going to go under that bar and knit properly. And you're just going to do that every other stitch. So here we're going to do it again. You go under this bar and you knit up in. And then you knit. And then you knit the bar below and you knit. And this is the first row of actual pattern. The next row will be knit. And I will come back and I will show you the alternating row that you will have to make the pattern complete. So as I said, you just go under the bar and you knit it properly. So I will be back when the next row is knit and then the fourth row. So just at the end of that the row, and you're going to end up with two. Actually, shouldn't end up with two. So I am going to knit these two together because I shouldn't have two at the end. So this does mean you want 39 stitches, but I do like to do an even border. So I always hedge my bets on if I need to cast it off or not, or knit two together, I should say. So now we're going to knit the third row, just straight knitting. These are the easy rows that your mind kind of can wander on. Please stop playing with that. Yes, I know that's a toy. Please stop it. Cat's playing with a USB cord. So I'm going to finish this row off and I will show you the next row. All right, so now that we're done the third knit row, so your first row is knit, your second row is knit. Knit one below, knit one below, and then your third row is knit. This one is knit 2 stitches, and then you're going to knit this one in the row below. Now this is your 4-row repeat. You are going to repeat this all the way till you're done. And as I said, you just go. And this is easy to tell because the ones you want are kind of in a little bit of a hole. You can almost see there's like a V underneath it, whereas this one doesn't have it. That tells you this is the one. Sometimes you're going to get confused as to which row you're on. You are looking for, I'm going to hold it up. You are looking for this. So 2 rows, kind of a V stitch. 2 rows show and a V stitch is what you're looking for, essentially, is how it looks. And you're just going to repeat this now. And I'm going to measure it from the bottom. So about 7 1/4 inches from the bottom, or just 5 3/4 from the gray. Actually, yeah, 5 3/4. Almost, yep, 5 3/4 for the gray. I will be back when I have that to show you how to finish it off and do the top ribbing and that, and I will be back in a minute. So I did just want to say that our last 2 stitches on this row where you knit 2 at the beginning will be knit 2 at the end. So just so you're not worried. So as I said, I'm going to continue my 5 3/4 inches and I will be back. All right, so I have got it the right length. I have trimmed off, not enough, so I do have a little bit more here to trim off. What we're going to do now is we're going to start the ribbing. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to knit 2 together for the very first stitch, only because I know I'm at an odd number, so I'm trying to even them back up. So I'm going to do that first, and then we're going to purl, and we're going to knit, and we're going to do this for 1 inch. So this is the next inch you're going to do is just ribbing, and when I come back, don't forget to change the other needle. You will, I'll show you how to sew it up, and we'll go from there. So now what we're going to do, now that I have it all done, we have, yep, I'm on the right side, so I'm going to cast off. Just going to put it down lightly. I think I need. So we're just going to cast off now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, I need to do 2 more rows. I'll be back in just a sec. So this should be the right row that we're going to cast off on now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a knit one, purl one, just like regular ribbing. But then what you're going to do is you're going to take the stitch behind and push it over. Grab the next stitch, take it up, push it over, and you're just going to keep doing that all the way along. Just take it and leapfrog it over the stitch. And you want to really be not pulling on anything except for here. You want to make sure you have a nice good loop. Pull it through. Oop. This will happen, especially if you have long needles like I'm dealing with currently. So I'm going to finish this off. I will come back and I will show you how to sew it up. So I just did the last stitch and I have a loop. So I'm just going to trim it off. Pull it up through. And then we're going to start the stitching up. So this part, what you want to do is you want to, so this is what we would call the wrong side, and this is what you call the right side. You want the right side on the inside because you want to have the seam on the wrong side. That may sound counterintuitive, but what you're trying to do is keep your seam as invisible as possible. So you're just going to seam up here, grabbing a loop on each side. And then you just go back and forth, kind of seaming it up until you're done this particular color. And then you're just going to travel upwards, kind of reinforcing your seam so it will not come out. And we're just going to do one more. And then I'm just going to, I lost my thread, but I'm just going to rethread it and go this way. Oops. And pull it through. It's not too much there, but now you don't want to immediately sew this next part. This is where you're going to have your thumb hole. So what you really want to do, and what I usually do when I'm doing that, is I grab them and I measure them together from the start. So I think right there is a little large, but I like it. So I'm just going to pretty much hold my fingers there while I thread my needle and just kind of bring it down through the loops that you've got here. Just want to bring them down. And then pull out a little bit, although I think I'm a little far, so I'm going to go up that far. And then now what I'm going to do is a basic locking stitch. So you kind of wrap it around the needle, pull upwards, and then that should kind of lock that into place. And you're just going to travel down, grabbing 2 loops as you go downwards. Now, as I said, I know I trimmed that way too small, but I knew that when I did it by accident. So I'm going to turn to this side. And then I'm going to sew this seam up. And then you just go in. I like to hold the color together as much as I can, so the whole one color piece is held in between my thumb and my finger. I should say forefinger. And I just kind of hold it. As I said, I am left-handed, so I do tend to sew up left-handed and crochet left-handed, but I do knit right-handed. So, and if you were wondering, because I haven't said it in a while, my grandmother taught me when I was about 6 or 7 years old how to knit. She tried to give me the basics of crochet at that point in time, but they did not stick. And I know that I didn't even grasp it until years later. I think about 15, in between 15 and 20 right now. I'm not 100% sure. I think it's 15, 16 years. And then I decided I wanted to learn crochet, and I self-taught myself with YouTube. And now I pretty much try to I work on my own stitches. I try to explain it so people can understand. I hope I do a good job. So I'm going to grab this thread because I do know that I need it. I'm just going to lightly darn it in here because I don't want it to see through on the other side. And once I have that, then I'm going to pull it up without pulling it all the way, so right about there. And then, as I said, I will do a locking stitch right here. There's two ways to do a locking stitch. You can just wrap around like that, or you can wrap the loop around your needle. Obviously, I'm doing both there. And then you just kind of want to, and that will prevent it from pulling on this end. And then you just kind of grab, I like saying the big knot loops right at the top. That's what you're going for. Grab a loop, and then just keep repeating that all the way up. When I come back, I will show you the complete finished product, and we will be done for the day. I hope, well, I'll say it now. I hope to see you again. I hope you have a wonderful day. And I will see you in just a second if you want to watch this video to the end. And I'm just going to be back in a sec. So I'm just going to pull it inside out. Put it on my hands. Oh, it's upside down. And it is a little loose, but I'm okay with that because I do like some of them a little looser. These are a little larger. I mean, if you want a bit tighter, you could probably easily do 34, 36 stitches if you don't like it too loose. I'm okay with them loose. I have some that are tighter, some that aren't. I do hope to see you again. I would love to hear from you. Any questions, comments, or concerns you have below, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Bye.